Society needs judges, and these judges must be financially supported so that they don't care about money or bribes. They must only rule according to the truth. But then, how are these judges to be paid? We've already gone over that they can't take bribes. This question applies to Jewish courts, but also to Noahide courts under our Noahide obligation to establish courts of justice. And in this video, we have a dichotomy. A judge must be able to support himself and also his family, but in judgment, he must remain independent, impartial, only committed to the truth. He must not care about money and supporting his family. So how does a judge make money without compromising justice? First, a judge is not allowed to charge private money for judging cases. So a judge can't say, "I will judge your case for $1,000, as if his justice is for sale. No, the Mishnah, the oral Torah, teaches that a judge who takes payment to judge has invalidated his judgments. The case where he takes money, his ruling doesn't matter. The sages derive this from Moses' words in Deuteronomy 4 verse 5. Moses says, "Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments." So just as Moses, Israel's chief judge, taught Torah and gave judgments without charge, so too, Torah teaching and judgment should be given without charge. In other words, Torah teaching and judging shouldn't turn into a private commercial transaction. But the Torah teachers and the judges must make money, but how so? The goal of justice is to rule according to the truth. It can't depend on anything outside the truth. So a judge must not feel dependent on the litigants in front of him. He shouldn't feel grateful to them, or pressured by them, or influenced by any money connected to their case. So then, what is the solution? The preferred solution is to provide the judges with a dignified salary from the public communal fund. This wouldn't be considered a bribe because the money wouldn't be coming from litigants in connection to a specific case. Instead, it's a communal payment, given regardless of who appears before the court. In this way, a judge is not financially dependent on the people who stand before him. He can then judge calmly, independently, and only according to the truth. The salary also allows the judge to devote his time solely to judging, so that he doesn't have to have another occupation. If he doesn't have to worry about another occupation to support himself, then he can just focus solely on the truth and judging. And ideally, this salary should be sufficient for basic living expenses, but it also should be enough to free the judge from any financial pressure whatsoever. Because again, when the judge is sitting in judgment, we only want him to think about the truth, not about money. So we want him to make enough to where he doesn't even have to think about money. Now there is a qualification. Some authorities write that if there is a known communal custom that permanent judges receive a fixed and equal fee from each litigant, this can be permitted. Because in this case, the amount is fixed, it's public, it's equal for both sides, and it's accepted by the community in advance. It wouldn't be then treated like a private bribe or a secret transaction. But even if this structure is permitted, it still seems like it's not the ideal. A system where the judge is paid per case can then create an incentive for the judge to want to judge more cases so that he can be paid more and more money. And if a judge wants to judge more cases, he'll be tempted to rush through the cases, rush through the rulings, not giving them the patience and attention that each one deserves. So you see here that in this system, the judge may not be ruling according to the truth. So the best model is a stable public salary where the judge does not need to think about his finances whatsoever. He only needs to think about the truth. Now we've been talking about compulsory public judges. Jewish law distinguishes between these compulsory public judges and a voluntarily chosen private arbitrator. A compulsory public judge is one appointed by the government before whom people are required, compelled to appear. In a Noahide society, this would be the Noahide judge in charge of judging according to the 7 laws, where if someone breaks them, then they are compelled to appear before the court. This judge should ideally be paid by a fixed public salary, but this is the public judge. There may be another case where 2 people may voluntarily choose an arbitrator or a mediator or a judge to resolve their monetary dispute. Since both parties willingly accept his authority, they may agree to pay him a fixed fee in advance, provided of course that the arrangement is equal, transparent, and not tied to the outcome, because if the payment was secret, one-sided, and conditional on winning, this would be bribery. But for these private disputes that aren't the Noahide laws, it seems like they can pay in advance. But in all, judges must be supported by the community. A society cannot properly fulfill the Noahide obligation to establish courts of justice if they leave their judges unable to live. A judge cannot sell his justice privately. We don't want him taking bribes or fees. For righteous justice that rules according to the truth, the community must support the judges with a dignified salary so they don't have to worry about money. This video is on how a Noahide judge makes money. On this channel, we go into all of the Noahide laws and the Noahide legal system, which is the legal system of the future. So I can encourage you to subscribe. Thank you, as always, for watching.